Hello everybody, this is Fernando for the latest Urban Legends video. Alright, one last one here for this go around, and I'll give it a break for a couple of weeks and then work on some new ones. I'm probably going to do also some Urban Legends of the week, just sporadic stuff that I'm going to either do based on your past suggestions or something that I find that's really interesting, so that way those of you that are fans of my Urban Legends series, you'll have something in between the breaks that I give every couple of weeks. So this particular suggestion I think has been given several times. It's not one of my earlier suggestions, but it started to pick up after the series itself started gaining attention. It's been mentioned in the past. I guess I just finally got around to it here, mainly because it fascinated me how much it had to do with the idea of haunted dolls, which again is a very popular subject in my Urban Legends YouTube series. And this one it has to do with a strange thing called the Dybbuk Box, which you'll see a picture of here. Now, the current whereabouts of the Dybbuk Box remain a mystery, but how it got to that place, that's what I'm going to talk about here. And in an interesting bit of note, I mean, it actually inspired a whole film, a recent film that was pretty good, and I'll talk about that here in a few minutes too. So it's strange to think that a little sale on eBay eventually garnered much popularity, almost viral of sorts. So what is the Dybbuk Box? Well, the Dybbuk Box was a box that was sold by a guy on eBay. How he got into possession of this, he has it chronicled on the website dybbukbox.com. If you click on the link for the story, I mean, he's got pages and pages of his encounters with the Dybbuk Box. During the brief time that he had it, he chronicles practically everything. I'm not going to talk about everything here, only really just the most interesting stuff and highlight that, but still I recommend it. When you have a chance, go to that website, dybbukbox.com, find the link for the story, and then you'll see everything that this guy has talked about. But this guy, his name was Kevin Manis, and he described that one time in 2003 he went to an estate sale. And estate sales are the usual things where family members of deceased parents, generally parents, are selling everything that's within either the parent's home or some other possession, like let's say a storage unit or anything along those lines, and they just pretty much sell it, either to pay off debt or to accrue their own income and then go from there. And when he was in that particular estate sale, he noticed something that stood out. It was a little box. He noticed this because he himself owned a small antiques and furniture store. His business was essentially taking garage sales, taking estate sales, all the little trinkets, all the little fascinating things that people sell, and then in turn selling them within his own store there in Portland, Oregon. So when he saw this, it stood out immediately, and he found out that it belonged to a Polish Holocaust survivor by the name of Havela. The reason he knew this is because Havela's granddaughter was the one who was selling the item there at the estate. She's told it that the grandmother, Havela, brought the box back from Spain after the Holocaust. It was some kind of family heirloom. And with all of this information, Kevin, he wanted to essentially give the box back to the family. He said, you know, I couldn't really buy it from you. I didn't even know why essentially you were selling it there at the estate. But the way that the granddaughter said it, it was kind of creepily. She said, we don't want it. She wanted to truly give it away for whatever, I guess, price it was sold for. So he said, all right, I guess they don't really want it that much. And so he got it, took it to the store, and then he thought that was it. Once he was there inside the store, naturally he opened up the box, and here's what he said he discovered. In it, it contained two 1920s pennies, some lock of blonde hair that was tied around with a cord, another lock of black brown hair also tied with a cord. There was a small statue on the inside that had an engraving of sorts with the Hebrew, I guess Jewish word shalom. There was a small wine goblet that was golden colored, one dried rosebud, a single candle holder, and then finally the shape of the candle holder, it looked like it had four octopus legs. So quite different, obviously, than what he was thinking it was. He thought it was going to be something else, maybe like a wine box of some sort, but no, it was containing something else altogether. The way it was interpreted when he opened it, that's when things started to get really creepy in his store. There were smells that were starting to originate. Some people would say that it was smelling like flowers, and others would say that it was a strong odor, like a pungent odor of cat urine, which those of you that have cats obviously know that that is really strong stuff. Also, there were lights that were coming out, turning on, turning off, burning out. He had an employee there in his store that after a particular incident in the basement of the store where it seemed like something was almost taunting and cornering her, she ran out, and then that was it. She was never going to go back to that store ever again. And then finally another incident that occurred was there was something involving his mother. His mother came out to visit him, and when he brought her to the store, he wanted to give her the box as a gift, and not really tying two things together yet when it came to all this bad stuff and the box itself. That's why he wanted to give her the gift, just maybe as a nice gift altogether. She opened it, and then that's when he stepped away briefly, but not maybe 2 minutes later, he had to come back rushing because something was wrong with his mom. She had a stroke right then and there. There was a profound look of horror on her face when that happened. And so his mother, I don't know if she ever fully recovered from the stroke itself, but quite coincidence, the timing of it, the idea that everything as far as her stroke happened to occur right at the moment that she met that box. So now he was truly adding things all together with regards to the bad luck and whatever was occurring with the box. So he finally decided to sell it. By the way, one of the other things that people mention associated with the box, and this is probably the nastiest part, is the dreams, the nightmares that people have, those that own the box. This guy Kevin described it one time. He said every time it goes like this, he finds himself walking with a friend in the dream. It's someone that he knows very well, someone that he trusts, so it's almost like this is good. This is going to be a good experience. He's with someone that he truly is a friend with. All of a sudden, when he looks into the eyes, though, of that friend, then either that friend morphs into something else, or just like an instant, it changes into something else. Whatever it is, the end result is what he describes as the most gruesome, demonic-looking hag that he's ever seen. This hag then proceeds to beat the living crap out of him. I mean, we're talking full-blown assault, deadly force, everything, malicious. I mean, this is something that is trying its hardest to torture and beat the person to death right there in its dream. So much so that the dream prompts Kevin, in this case, to wake up, always, of course, in shock, in complete state of fear. And when he does this, it said that sometimes he found bruises and marks on himself right where this old hag was beating on him. So let's say if it was beating on him on his stomach, he would find the same bruises, the same marks there on the arms, on the ribs, wherever. That's where it would happen. Finally, this was enough for him. He decided he wanted to give away the box. He tried to give it to his sister. The sister returned it within 2 days. He tried to give it to another friend. The friend returned it. He sold it to one other person. The person brought it back no less than 2 days later. This stuff was catching on. He realized that there was something really, really going wrong with this box. Finally, it got out of his possession through another guy, somebody I guess who was interested in this, a guy by the name of Joseph Nietzsche. He was a Missouri student over at Truman State University, and he became the last person to essentially auction the box on eBay. He was somebody that was apparently interested in doing this. He wanted to own it. I think he wanted to even experience what it was like hearing all the stuff that is associated with the Dybbuk Box. He wanted to truly have that happen for himself. Why? I don't know. Again, it's like with the haunted dolls that I just described in my other video. Some people, they just want this, and it makes no sense, but they do. Well, no sooner after that, then he too described the very same thing, including the nightmarish dreams that he would have. That he finally decided that he wanted to sell it. I mean, he also found his lights in his home burning out, and on top of that, his hair completely began to fall out. How freakish is that? Imagine looking in the mirror and then pulling a long clump of hair and then pulling another one, knowing, of course, that none of this is supposed to happen, that it's not natural, but it was happening to him. So he decided he wanted to get rid of it yet again. Obviously, another story of someone getting rid of this box. It finally came into possession of a guy by the name of Jason Haxton, who was the director of the Museum of Osteopathic Medicine there in Missouri. He was someone who was following the guy's Yosef's blog, and he became interested in the box, not to own it, but as a way to get rid of the box. He was familiar with the process of the Dybbuk box or the Dybbuk itself, how to stop it, how to prevent it from harming others, and so he took on the task of owning the box. He got it from that guy Yosef. Yosef sold it to him, and then this guy Jason in turn took the box and then was able to come up with something. There was something involving a way to seal whatever this thing was in the box. He also, of course, suffered from owning the box itself. Anybody that comes into possession of the box and owns it, everyone had the same symptoms as before. His, though, were a little strange. His included hives. He would cough up blood. He would also have head-to-toe welts. He finally consulted with several rabbis trying to see what could be done about the box. They found him a way to do it, a way to seal whatever this thing was within the box again, because opening it originally, that guy at the beginning, Kevin Manis, that I talked about, once he opened that box, then it released the Dybbuk. And it's hard to get the Dybbuk back into the box unless it's done in a certain manner. You can close the box, but it just won't work. You have to do it a certain manner. So he was able to seal the box, and this time he didn't sell it anywhere. He just completely resealed it, and then to this day he has it hidden at a secret location. He has not told anyone where it's at. He has not told anybody else how to get to it. No, it is completely gone. It is sealed, presumably buried somewhere here in America, wherever it's at. The way he sealed it, the way he hid it, it's not going to be found, and this thing, the Dybbuk, is not going to be released. So that's where the story ends as far as its location. Where it's at, where it's not now, who knows? But the Dybbuk itself, there's nothing that it can do. It is once again sealed within the box. So what is the Dybbuk itself? Like, what is it? Well, I'm looking up some information. It seems to be almost like one of my favorites, the Genie's Loki. It's like a spirit of some sort that's extremely malicious. It's like a discarded soul of some sort, something that just can't get past either another realm or is stuck somewhere, and so because of it, it wants to take out as much as it can on anyone it comes across. It apparently can possess people, or it can have people do things in order to reach an unintended or intended goal of some sort. In all fairness, I mean, it seems to be something involving, like the most common thing involving malicious spirits like demons, anything like that. So, but in this case, we're talking about something that's in Jewish mythology. So with the Dybbuk itself, it is a very bad thing. You do not want to come across something like this. Anything involving encountering it and getting rid of it. Again, I just mentioned a few minutes back, there are certain ways to do it, but it would definitely involve consulting others that are familiar with this, such as rabbis. Now, as far as how everything again spiraled into some kind of viral status, as I mentioned at the very beginning of my video, there was, because of the sale of eBay, it garnered international attention. I mean, people were talking about this. I remember it too. For a brief period, there was stuff like on CNN, there was stuff on the radio. People were talking about the idea that something involving something being sold on eBay could haunt its owners, those that came into possession. And this was so much so that it actually attracted the attention of Hollywood. And this guy, Jason Haxton, who was the final owner of the box, the one who again sealed the box somewhere and kept the Dybbuk hidden in there, he wrote the Dybbuk Box. I think it was like a novel, or not really a novel, but something that chronicled everything that everybody had encountered before, made it almost story-like, and then that in turn became the movie The Possession. That was the movie that I just saw recently. I think it was about a year or two back or so. It was pretty good. I was surprised at how good it was. I thought it was going to be another run-of-the-mill cheap scare where there's quiet music, then a loud bang, those kind of cheap things. But no, it's pretty psychological. It plays on the idea that having a family member become uncontrollably possessed by this thing, it is frightening. I mean, it gives you the chills when you think about it. And the girl, especially the one who played the main character, or turned out to be the main character in the film, she did a really good job. There was one part I remember that stands out, and it was when the father, the comedian, the guy that played the comedian, was walking into a room, and she slowly turned around and just stared at him. And the way she acted, she definitely made it seem as if something else were staring through her eyes at the father. I mean, it was downright creepy. The way she just stared, you don't want to be in that room with her. I mean, you just walk out slowly and never come back. I mean, it's that kind of stare. And so she did a really good job. There was also another scene, and my God, this was a scary scene. I can't believe how much this was unsettling. You know which one it is if you've seen the movie. It has to do with that X-ray machine. The idea that they took her to the hospital to try to see, what the hell's going on with my daughter. And with the X-ray, that machine that she was in, being able to go through who knows how many additional wavelengths and pick up stuff that, of course, the normal human eyes could not see. Now all of a sudden they could see something within her body, and then this thing turns to the viewer looking at the screen and looks back at them. Oh my God, that was extremely creepy, extremely unsettling. Great stuff. So anything involving whoever came up with that idea, phenomenal. Great stuff. But yeah, that's the story of the Dybbuk Box. Where it's at now, who knows? But again, fascinating stuff. And please check out that website, dybbukbox.com. Click on the story link. You'll be getting lots more information there to see exactly what it pertains, how it came about, some of the other, I guess, tales tied to it. Fascinating stuff. And if anyone has any other info too, if there are other Dybbuk boxes out there that maybe just weren't talked about or didn't catch on as this one did, I'll be fascinated to hear that info too. So, alright everybody, thanks again as always. Take care.